7 silent powers that make your enemies self-destruct. Nietzsche's warning. There are people no smarter than you, no braver than you, no harder working than you, but whatever room they walk into, that room falls silent. Whatever table they sit down at, that table shifts its atmosphere, not because they speak well, not because they hold a high position, but because they know something 99% of people are never taught. They know when not to speak. Have you ever won an argument but still felt like you lost? You presented every piece of evidence, counted every point, said everything right, word for word. But the other person walked away with a smile, while you walked away with rage choking your throat. Nietzsche saw this 150 years ago. He didn't say you were wrong. He said the problem wasn't that you said the wrong thing. The problem was that you spoke at all. Today you will learn 7 silent powers that Nietzsche encoded in his philosophy. 7 weapons that no university teaches, that no self-help book dares to spell out clearly. Each power is a new layer of defense, a new level of authority. And when you master all 7, no one can touch you anymore. But there's one rule before we begin. Nietzsche did not write for the masses. He wrote for those willing to look into the darkness within themselves. If you are that person, if you are tired of always explaining, always justifying, always trying to be understood, hit like right now. Because this is the last time you need anyone to understand you. And if you're listening to this video at midnight, if you're listening while walking alone, while driving home after a day of exhaustion from swallowing words you wanted to say, then know this video was written for this exact moment. For the moment you realize that silence is not surrender. It is the beginning, the first power. Never react when provoked, because every reaction is a confession. Think about this carefully. When someone provokes you, they don't want to hear your answer. They don't care if you're right or wrong. They want to watch you lose control. They need you to react. Because every time you react, you confirm one single thing. Your words have power over me. You are handing the remote control to your emotions to someone who doesn't deserve to hold it. Nietzsche called this reactive, Kraft, reactive force. The force of the slave. He said that most people don't seek truth when they argue. They seek power. They want to affirm their beliefs, not because those beliefs are solid, but because if those beliefs are shaken, everything collapses. And when you jump into the argument, you've already stepped onto their stage. You've already accepted their rules. There's a story from 2,000 years ago that Nietzsche deeply admired. Epictetus, a slave in ancient Rome. His master was Epaphroditus, a man notorious for his cruelty. One day, Epaphroditus twisted Epictetus's leg just to test his reaction. He wanted to see the slave beg, scream, plead for mercy, but Epictetus said only one thing, calmly, "You're going to break it." The master kept twisting. The leg broke. Epictetus said, "I told you so." No screaming, no begging, no reaction. And in that moment, something strange happened. The master, the one with absolute power, the one who owned Epictetus's body and life, suddenly felt like the weak one. Because he could break a bone, but he couldn't break the thing that mattered most. Composure. That is active force, active craft. The force of someone who doesn't need to react because they are already above the game. You don't have to be a philosopher to apply this. Think about that meeting last week. A co-worker mocked you in front of the whole room. Your instinct wanted to fire back, to say something sharper, to prove yourself right. But try this instead. Look them straight in the eye. Give a slight nod. Say nothing. Observe. 10 seconds of silence will shift the entire energy of the room. Every pair of eyes will turn toward the one who mocked, not toward you. Because silence turns the attacker into a performer in front of an empty theater. They're performing, but the audience has left their seats. And nothing is more terrifying than performing alone in a silent room. But not reacting is only the first layer of defense. There's a far more dangerous power when you're silent, not to defend, but to attack. The second power, silence to make the enemy strip off their own armor. Because humans fear the void more than they fear the enemy. Modern psychology has a term for this, horror vacui, the fear of the void. The human brain is programmed to fill every void with sound, with words, with anything. When you don't respond, when you just look and stay silent, the other person's brain panics. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and anxiety, fires immediately. The other person starts wondering, what are they thinking? Do they know something I don't? Are they judging me? And then they do the thing you never needed to ask for. They start talking more, saying things they didn't intend to say, revealing secrets they tried to hide, exposing weaknesses they thought were buried deep. Nietzsche understood this profoundly. He wrote that whoever speaks first is serving, and the one who stays silent, that one is ruling. In 1994, the FBI captured Aldrich Ames, a CIA agent who had been selling national secrets to the Soviet Union for 9 years. In the interrogation room, the FBI didn't torture him, didn't yell, didn't threaten. They sat in silence. Silence that lasted 4 continuous minutes. 4 minutes. Can you imagine 4 minutes of complete silence in a closed room with 2 people sitting across from each other? Ames started sweating, then started talking, then talking more, then confessing. Not because of pressure, not because he was beaten, but because he couldn't bear the silence. His brain needed to fill the void at all costs, even with a confession. You don't have to be an FBI agent to use this technique. Next time you negotiate your salary, try it. State the number you want. Then go silent. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't say, but I'm flexible, of course. Just be silent. Let the discomfort belong to the other side. Because most people don't lose negotiations because they give the wrong number. They lose because they can't withstand 5 seconds of silence after stating that number. They discount themselves before anyone even has a chance to refuse. But even when you've mastered silence for defense and silence for extraction, there's a form of silence far more dangerous. This one doesn't target the enemy, it targets you. The third power, silence the inner voice that is destroying you. Nietzsche called it the snake in the throat. In his work, Zarathustra, Nietzsche told a strange story. A shepherd was sleeping. A snake crawled into his mouth and clamped onto his throat. The shepherd woke up, tried to pull the snake out, but couldn't. Zarathustra screamed, "Bite off its head!" The shepherd bit, spat the snake's head out, and stood up no longer a shepherd. He had become something else, stronger, freer. What was the snake in that story? It was the inner voice, the voice that repeats every day inside your head. I'm not good enough. They were right about me. I should explain more. I should apologize. I should try to make everyone like me. 90% of the words you regret saying weren't wrong. They were said because the ego needed to be soothed immediately. The ego fears silence. The ego fears the void. The ego needs you to speak, explain, justify, because that's how it survives. To be silent with the ego is to bite off the head of the snake. Ludwig Wittgenstein, one of the greatest philosophers of the 20th century, understood this more deeply than anyone. He wrote the Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, the book that changed all of Western philosophy. What was the last sentence of that book? Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. And then he did something no one expected. He vanished. Left Cambridge, left his fame, left the professorship millions would dream of. Went to teach elementary school in a small village in rural Austria. 10 years of complete silence. No publishing, no lecturing, no debating. The philosophical world thought he was dead. But when he returned, he didn't return with the same system. He destroyed his own system, rebuilt from scratch, stronger, sharper, deeper. 10 years of silence didn't weaken him. It gave him the time to become a version no one could touch. Think about your own life. The last time you were betrayed, hurt, stabbed in the back by someone. Every cell in your body wanted to post it on social media, wanted to tell every friend, wanted the world to know you were the victim. Stop. That's not a need for justice. That's the ego needing an audience. Go silent for 72 hours. Just 72 hours. After 72 hours, 80% of what you plan to say will become unnecessary, and the remaining 20%, if it still needs to be said, you'll say it with the calm of someone who has weathered the storm, not the fury of someone drowning in it. But being silent with yourself is only the preparation. The next step is what truly changes the game. When you learn to be silent, not out of discipline, but because you've already seen what others haven't. The fourth power: never let anyone know what you know. Nietzsche called this the humility of the strong. Every piece of information you reveal is a chess piece you place on the board. The smart player doesn't show their board. They let the opponent believe they're winning. Nietzsche wrote that the most dangerous person is not the one who knows the most, but the one who conceals what they know. Because knowledge kept secret is knowledge that holds power. Knowledge put on display is knowledge that has lost its value. In 1941, Alan Turing and the Bletchley Park team cracked Enigma, the encryption system of Nazi Germany. From that moment on, the Allies knew nearly every attack plan Hitler had, knew where the submarines would be, knew where the planes would bomb, knew where the troops would move. But Churchill gave a brutal order: do not act on every piece of decrypted intelligence, because if Germany saw that Britain knew everything in advance, they would change their codes, and all the effort would amount to zero. Churchill let some warships be sunk, let some cities be bombed, stayed silent in the face of death, not because he was ruthless, but because he understood that the power of information lies in the enemy not knowing you have it. The result? The war was shortened by at least 2 years, roughly 14 million lives saved, all because of silence. Bring this into your daily life. You know a co-worker is talking behind your back. What's the first instinct? Confront them immediately. Call, text, ask them straight to their face. But the smart player does it differently. Stay silent, observe. Take note of who says what, who goes quiet when you walk in, who suddenly changes their attitude, who passes along words. In 2 weeks, you'll have a complete political map of the entire office without having to ask a single question. That's not being a pushover. That's intelligence. And intelligence always beats emotion. But concealing information is only strategic defense. There's a form of silence that attacks directly. This form destroys the manipulator without saying a single word. The fifth power: silence in the face of the manipulator. Because the manipulator lives off your reactions. Withdraw the reactions, and they starve. Nietzsche understood human nature more deeply than any psychologist. He called the state of having your emotions controlled by others ressentiment, a chronic form of resentment that the weak live in for their entire lives. When you live in a constant state of reaction, when your every move depends on someone else's move, you've already become a slave. No chains needed, no prison needed. Just a manipulator who knows how to press the right emotional buttons. The manipulator doesn't need you to agree, they need you to react. Anger, explanations, begging, arguing, all of it is food. Even when you say, "I don't care," you're still reacting. Because that sentence proves you care enough to declare that you don't. Roman history offers a perfect lesson for this. Octavian, who would later become Emperor Augustus, faced Mark Antony, one of the most powerful military leaders in the world at that time. Antony relentlessly provoked Octavian, called him a child, mocked his origins, challenged him publicly before the entire Senate. Octavian didn't react, not a single word, not a single gesture. While Antony wasted energy performing for the crowd, delivering fierce speeches, throwing lavish parties in Alexandria, Octavian quietly built alliances, strengthened his army, took control of the state treasury, bought off generals. When Octavian finally acted at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, Antony didn't know what hit him, because for years he had been fighting a ghost, a child he assumed was afraid. But that child was building an empire. In silence, you can see the same thing in everyday life. An ex keeps texting, stirring up drama. Every time you respond, whether in anger, whether to explain, whether you block and then unblock, you're giving them a signal: I'm still affected. I'm still thinking about you. The most powerful answer is not, I don't care anymore. The most powerful answer is no answer at all. A void, emptiness, absolute silence. That is the death of the manipulator. Because the manipulator is like an actor on a stage, they need an audience. Remove the audience, and the show is over. And they must face the most terrifying thing of all, their own silence. But silence that destroys the manipulator only works when you truly don't need anyone anymore. And that is the next power. The most dangerous form of silence, the form Nietzsche spent his entire life pursuing, the sixth power. Choose solitude before the world forces loneliness upon you. Nietzsche called this Amor Fati, love of fate. Most people speak out of fear, fear that silence means being forgotten, fear that not explaining means being misunderstood, fear that not justifying means losing connection. But Nietzsche posed a question that makes all those fears collapse. If you had to relive this life an infinite number of times, eternal recurrence, the eternal return, would you still say those words? Would you still explain yourself to someone who doesn't deserve to hear it? Would you still justify yourself before someone who will never change their view? If the answer is no, then those words are not a voice. They are noise, and noise is the enemy of power. Nikola Tesla understood this with his entire life. When he left Thomas Edison's company, he didn't leave with a fiery speech. No arguments, no lawsuits, no letters of explanation. He walked away in silence, into poverty, into darkness, into a lab alone with circuits and dreams. Edison had the crowd, had the media, had the money and the fame. What did Tesla have? Silence. And within that silence, he invented alternating current, the thing lighting up the house you're sitting in right now, the thing running the phone you're holding, the thing powering all of modern civilization. Edison had the crowd, Tesla had silence. History remembers both. But the world runs on Tesla's invention. You can apply this right now. Look at that old group of friends, the group that only knew how to drink, only knew how to complain, only knew how to drag each other down. You don't need drama, don't need announcements, don't need to post a long status about "I've changed." Just gradually disappear. Withdraw your energy, little by little. Spend that time on books, on skills, on your body, on your mind. 6 months later, you've read 30 books, built a business, transformed your physique, transformed your thinking. Are the critique? They're still sitting at the same drinking table, still talking about you, still wondering why you vanished. But you're no longer there to listen, because you've moved beyond the range of their hearing. But even when you've mastered solitude, there's still one final power. This power isn't silence for defense. It isn't silence for attack. It is silence to become something no one can touch. The seventh power, and the most powerful of all, silence when you are right, because only the Übermensch is strong enough not to need the world to know they are right. This is the peak of Nietzsche's philosophy. This is where everything converges. The Übermensch, the overman, the human who transcends all limits. The Übermensch does not stay silent out of strategy, does not stay silent out of discipline, does not stay silent out of fear of consequences. He stays silent because he has transcended the need for recognition. He doesn't need to win because he already exists on a different level. Whoever has to prove they are a lion is not yet a lion. A lion doesn't explain. A lion doesn't argue. A lion roars once, then falls silent. And the entire forest knows who is king. In 1633, Galileo Galilei stood before the Inquisition. The Catholic Church, the most powerful force in Europe at that time, pressured him to abandon the heliocentric model, to declare that the Earth stood still, to deny everything he had proven through his telescope, through mathematics, through observation. Galileo signed the paper. He knelt and read an oath, declaring that the Earth does not revolve around the Sunday. But legend says that as he stood up, he whispered one sentence, "Eppur si muove," and yet it moves. He didn't need the church to agree. He didn't need the masses to believe. He didn't need history to acknowledge him right then and there, because the truth doesn't need a vote. The truth doesn't need majority support. The truth only needs time. And the one who holds the truth in silence, history, always stands on their side in the end. 400 years later, the church officially apologized to Galileo. But Galileo didn't need that apology, because he knew from the very beginning, it still moves. Think about your own life. You're building something, a business, a skill, knowledge, a body, a mind, and the people around you don't understand. Family asks when you'll make money. Friends ask why you don't hang out anymore. Co-workers laugh at your ideas. A partner asks why you're always reading. You have two choices: explain or stay silent and do the work. If you explain, you're asking for permission. Permission for them to accept your path. Permission for them to understand your reasons. Permission for them to support your dream. But the Übermensch doesn't ask for permission. 2 years from now, the results will speak for you. And when that time comes, you won't need to say, "I told you so," because the Übermensch never needs that sentence. That sentence belongs to those who still crave recognition. And you've already moved past that point. Now, stop and look back at the entire journey you've just walked through. 7 powers. Never react when provoked, because every reaction is a confession. Stay silent so others expose themselves, because humans fear the void more than they fear the enemy. Kill the inner ego, the snake in the throat, choking you every single day. Conceal what you know, because information only holds power when the enemy doesn't know you have it. Destroy the manipulator by withdrawing your reactions, withdrawing their food. Choose voluntary solitude, Amor, Fati, love the fate you've chosen. And finally, transcend the need for recognition, the pinnacle of the Übermensch. Nietzsche didn't teach you to be silent. He taught you to choose silence. And that is the difference between the weak, who are muzzled, and the strong, who lock their own lips. The weak are silent out of fear. The strong are silent because they are already above the game. The weak are silent because they have nothing to say. The strong are silent because what they know is too dangerous to speak. Most people will listen to this video, nod, then go right back to explaining, justifying, reacting, because changing instinct is harder than understanding philosophy. Hearing is easy, doing is hard. But you are not most people, because you're still here, because you've listened until the very last minute. And that tells me one thing: you are ready. Pick one, just one power, apply it for 7 days. No announcements, no performances, no posting on social media that you're changing. Just do it in silence. And after 7 days, observe. Observe who notices the change in you without you having to say a word. That is the only person who truly sees you. Keep that person. The rest, let them find the answer on their own. The Übermensch doesn't say, "I am strong." He doesn't need to. A lion doesn't explain why it's a lion. And now, neither do you. Comment et pour s'y mouve, and yet it moves, because that is the oath of those who hold the truth in silence when the entire world screams in their face that they are wrong. And I will know. You have transcended. That is where power begins, in silence.